Well, let's get some official reaction to that. Joining us from Khartoum is Rabi Abdel Atti. He's a senior advisor to the Sudanese Information Ministry. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Can I ask you this first of all? The southern Kordofan governor is seen on video telling Sudanese army troops not to bring back any fighters alive. What is your reaction to that?
Yes, I think that this address to the armed forces of Sudan by the southern governor, the southern Kordofan governor, not interpreted correctly. Actually, this is a war against rebels, which is called the so-called the sector of SPLM North.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Not interpreted properly. Let me tell you what he says. He says he doesn't want the administrative problems of having prisoners, and he gives troops a direct order not to bring back anyone alive. How is that being misinterpreted? That's pretty clear, isn't it?
Yes, he's not directing, he's not ordering the soldiers to kill civilians, but to kill the rebels. And actually this is war, and SPLM now invaded a part of northern area, and I think that in war there is nothing called dancing or playing, it's killing. If they are coming to kill us, I think that the southern Kordofan governor is directing all armed forces to kill those rebels who invaded the area, and he didn't order them to kill civilians.
But are you saying that Sudan's troops aren't abiding by international law? Because there are international conventions about how you can deal with enemy soldiers.
Yes, actually it is very clear that now in the picture and in this report, now armed forces of Sudan government actually now confronting rebels and soldiers. No picture of civilians, and I think that this is confrontation between rebels who invaded the area in northern Sudan and between SPLM supporting those rebels. And I don't think that this should be interpreted more than that.
But isn't this an indication of how the government in Khartoum wants to deal with fighters in southern Kordofan? They're not interested in dialogue, they're not interested in prisoners, they just want to wipe the rebels out. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, I think that this, what's said by southern Kordofan governor to the soldiers, this is in the context of mobilization of soldiers to confront and to actually chase the rebels to the south, and they are coming from the south. And what you want us to do if rebels come and invade the area and threaten civilians and disturbing the security and peace in the area? I think that what's said by the governor of southern Kordofan is absolutely correct, to confront those, and they are coming to kill our soldiers. Our soldiers, they have a right also to kill them and to chase them and to drive them out of the region.
Can you tell me if the Sudanese army is planning a mass offensive in southern Kordofan before the rainy seasons come? Is there a mass assault planned?
I think that now the rebels who are doing so, the rebels who invaded the area, they actually created a lot of disturbances to civilians, and they are also making a lot of chaos, and this is all matters or atrocities and all crimes committed by rebels, and I think that this is from the responsibility of our government to bring each and everything to its order. And this is what is now done by our armed forces to drive rebels out of the southern Kordofan area. And this is actually to preserve sovereignty and to preserve and to achieve security for the civilians and to bring the life to its normal conditions, so as this is from the actually responsibility of our government to do.
The governor that we see on the video, the southern Kordofan governor, he himself is a man who has been accused of crimes against humanity in Darfur. The government in Khartoum doesn't seem to be doing much about bringing him to justice.
Yes, I don't understand your question. I don't understand.
The southern Kordofan governor is a man who is wanted by the International Criminal Court. He is a man who has been accused of crimes against humanity.
This is nonsense to us. Actually, we consider ICC as a political organ, and we are not taking care or stressing or concentrating upon the issues of ICC. Now the South Sudan governor of Kordofan elected by the people, and now he is doing his job and his responsibility to protect civilians and to preserve the sovereignty of the country, and to also to respect the constitution and to chase all rebels who are now invaded his region. And we don't take care of what issued by ICC, as we are not acknowledging what taken by ICC.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We appreciate your time. Rabi Abdel Atti, government advisor there, speaking to us live from Khartoum. Well, let's speak to Peter Grester, our Africa correspondent, who produced that report for us. First of all, Peter, you heard what the government advisor said there. The Khartoum government doesn't recognise the ICC, but this man, Ahmed Harun, is wanted for crimes against humanity which were allegedly committed in Darfur.
Yeah, absolutely. He's indicted for 20 counts of crimes against humanity and 22 counts of war crimes, a whole range of things, from basically coordinating the government's offensive against Darfur. He was responsible for, or is allegedly responsible for things like mass rape, for murder, for mass forced evictions and so on. So the indictments, as the ICC sees it, are pretty damning. It's a pretty long and dramatic charge sheet.
It was an extraordinary video that the rebels found there, and the response that we've just had from the government minister clearly shows, or the advisor to the government minister, clearly shows that there seems to be no effort at reaching peace in any other way in this region rather than an all-out conflict. I mean, what's happened here? Why is there why wasn't this solved in the peace agreement?
Well, it's a complicated political situation here, but the fighting really broke out when Ahmed Harun, the governor who we saw there, won elections last year. But those results are hotly disputed. He won by a very narrow margin, and there are a lot of results, a lot of ballots that were invalidated, and certainly the numbers of ballots that were invalidated exceeds his margin of victory. So the fighting began around that particular point, and it's deteriorated since then. There's no dialogue between the two sides. The rebels say that they're not talking to Khartoum. Khartoum clearly isn't talking to the rebels. And it seems as though we have a situation now of open warfare where there's no real room for discussion. Certainly the rebels were saying to us that as long as Ahmed Harun is there, it's very difficult to see how you can possibly negotiate around this. They consider that they're also victims of genocide. Now, whether that's true or not is open for investigation. There'll be a lot of discussion about this, no doubt, in the days and months to come. But they don't believe that Khartoum is serious about negotiations. They consider that this is the next Darfur.
And while this is going on, there seems to be a huge humanitarian crisis unfolding in that region. I mean, thousands of families that have been forced to move away from their homes. Yeah,
hundreds of thousands of families. The UN estimates about 250,000 people have been forced to evacuate their homes. We saw people who've been forced to abandon their fields. Every day there are Antonov bombers which pass over the region and drop bombs. The government in Khartoum says that those bombs are falling on military targets. We certainly saw bombs land in civilian areas. We saw civilian victims, and as a result people have been forced to abandon their fields. They're living in caves because at the moment that's the only safe place for them to be, and because they haven't been able to plant, the food crisis is dire indeed, and aid agencies just can't get in there. So we're expecting a very serious humanitarian crisis to develop in coming months.
Peter, powerful stuff. Thank you very much indeed for that. Peter Grester there.